Quase me tezi mestan.
Hi, I'm Megha Sharma, and you're watching NewsX World. This is the special edition. I'm bringing you all the updates here from Geneva. I'm here participating in the 151st Assembly of the Inter-Parliamentary Union. And on the show with me today is Chris D'Entremont. He is a member of Parliament from Canada. Chris, it's lovely to speak to you.
Thanks so much for having us there.
Uh, you have been part of the 151st Assembly of the IPU. It is the last day. What are the key takeaways?
Well, I think the key takeaways, I was happy enough to be on the standing committee for human rights and democracy to have the discussion around international adoptions. We know around the world that children are being, in many cases, trafficked around the world. So we need to be able to work as parliaments and to put laws in place that stop that. The impact on children and families in our countries is far too important to have these things happening. So it was a very interesting run on exactly which countries are for and against and how we can manage together because, as members of the IPU, we don't always agree on everything. So it was interesting how we pulled that all together.
And the larger theme of this year's IPO has been about upholding humanitarian norms and supporting humanitarian action in wake of the crises and conflicts that we are facing. How is this relevant to Canada and you as a parliamentarian?
Well, I think for us, Canada has always tried to be a mediator between different countries, trying to find mechanisms to work together. When you find a solution that is good for both sides, that seems to be the Canadian way to do things. But I think what was also important for us to be here, knowing the discussions we're having around the world, for us, it's making new friends. Well, we've been friends with everyone, but we're actually having to fall upon uh, old friendships where, we would have dealt with the US a whole lot on trade and those kinds of things. And that's not as certain these days. So we have to go back and look at our European partners, our Asian partners, and seeing what we can do on trade and human rights development and find those new partners again. So that was what was important about this meeting.
Okay, and talking about your role as a representative of Canada and a parliamentarian, what are the key issues that you have raised here on this forum?
Well, I mean, here was to make sure that a number of changes to the adoption resolution that we're trying to put forward to make sure that feelings are actually in there. We were able to get a number of our changes to the resolution put in there, so I think we're pretty happy with that. But then again, for us, we've had a number of our participants join different committees, to actually truly be a part of the young parliamentarians or of our health committees. So we've got a number of our members that are all going to be bringing that. I'm happy to be a sort of an intermediary to try to make sure that everything is working well. But quite honestly, for me, this is my first time at the IPU to really understand the workings of what we can pull off. But when we all work together and we're all rowing in the right direction, I think we can do a lot together.
I also want to get your view about, the most popular, important topic of conversation across the globe, which is artificial intelligence. There are risks involved, there are advantages. We are at this point of time just at the surface of discovering, finding out what artificial intelligence can really have the potential for governments, for people, for humanity across the globe. How is Canada working in terms of building frameworks and policies and regulations around AI for judicious utilization of this technology?
Well, of course, we're in a new government. I'm an opposition member in that government, but ultimately, we now have a new minister responsible for AI. Which is the first time we've had that position in government. I think Minister Solomon, is going to be working very, very hard to try to create those frameworks for it. Learning from other countries. The difficulty that we're going to have, I think, across the globe is the belief in what we can use AI for and how we can limit the damage that it could possibly create. There's a lot of algorithms that you can build into these things that can affect other groups or opposition groups and how it can actually get into the democracy of things. So I think from a Canadian standpoint, we want to try to be a leader in that. This government has put some money aside on it and really trying to find the mechanisms in which to manage it. But AI and internet and those kinds of usages, don't see borders. So that's why in an organization like this, it's important to have that discussions.
Absolutely. Talking about India and Canada relations, we go way back. There is a huge Indian community that has found home in Canada in different parts. There are a number of people who reside and work over there. A lot of international students. Indians are the maximum number of foreign students who enroll in Canadian educational institutions as well. Uh, we saw that after a significant period of time, with the change of guard, with the new Prime Minister, Mark Carney has taken over from the previous Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, things have sort of ameliorated between India and Canada. This was very visible when Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India traveled to Canada to be part of the G7 summit, and there was a bilateral on the sidelines that took place as well. How do you see India Canada relations moving forward here on?
Well, I mean, I would say that the population of Indian Canadians is huge. You travel through different provinces in Canada, and the diaspora that we have of Indian nationals that have moved and came to our country is huge. And that connection, that family connection that we have, can only benefit both of our countries. So we need to find a mechanism to get back to the relation that we had before. Having President Modi here in Canada was extremely important. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Anita Anand, was just recently in India on another bilateral to be able to chat to find out what we can do together. I think is a positive move forward. But ultimately, if free and easy immigration is important for Canada. We're a country of immigrants, and being able to take them from countries like India are very important. Very well educated, very same beliefs in a lot of cases. So we come together very easily on that one. So I think it's very important that that relationship continues to build.
Right, absolutely. And if you could, explain further and delve deeper into how trade can be potentially increased. There's already a large percentage of trade that happens between India and Canada. Agriculture, for example, is a major component of it. Where Ontario, Saskatchewan, there are other provinces that have direct, trade associations with different states in our country as well. What is the potential besides agriculture? Critical minerals is something that has also been often spoken about.
Well, I mean, Canada is full of great mining companies that are always looking for opportunities around the world. I mean, this world needs of critical minerals for the development of a whole bunch of things, whether it's batteries or other electronics. So we need to be able to have those companies that are ready to do that. The great space of Canada, we've got lots of opportunity there, but so does India, and so does other countries around the world. And I think working together to find those things, the big markets that we have or that we as Canadians have always fell upon is the US. And knowing that that relationship is strained, the challenges that we're having right now with extra tariffs, that we do need to find other markets in the world. We need to have those other partners. And I think that's why working with India, I think, is going to be very important. Working with Europe, working with Asian countries, ASEAN, I think it's all going to be extremely important because those markets need to be developed. There is some markets there already, but I think the sky's the limit on what we can actually do.
The tariff war that has been waged by US President Donald Trump has also impacted the trade agreement that was the trilateral talking about Mexico, Canada, and United States of America as well. Do you think this has pushed countries like Canada towards forging ties, trade ties, commercial ties with other countries, including India?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, since we had NAFTA, when NAFTA was first signed back in the late 80s, early 90s, I think Canadians just sort of forgot because it was too easy to deal with markets in the U.S. Our products are easily going there. A lot of different manufacturing was coming up to Canada to be built. So there was just back and forth that happened for years and years and years. So now that the border is a little more closed,
Yeah.
not completely at this point, there's still a trade agreement that has to be followed, but it just makes us realize that we cannot always depend on one market, that we need to be, an international country and be able to get our products shipped to other places and be able to receive those products from other countries as well. So I think that's why you see a different move from our government right now, is looking for those other partners.
Right. And on a lighter note, there are so many Indian restaurants. Indian food is deeply appreciated, especially in Canada. Have you ever tried Indian cuisine? And if so, which is your favorite food?
Well, I mean, we were just actually here the other night. I'm traveling with a couple of great folks with some Pakistani and some Indian descent. So we did actually have to check out a few of the restaurants here in Geneva. But we already have Mr. Singh's Quick and Tasty in my community.
Yeah.
Because that community continues to grow in all parts of the parts of Canada. So there's a lot of possible growth for that, and the food is wonderful. So.
And which is the one place that you would want to pick from the vast territory that Canada is, which is the most beautiful, most scenic, the best place for a tourist from anywhere across the globe to come visit?
Well, I would always do it my riding. My riding, of course, is what's called Acadianapolis, which is on the eastern shore of Nova Scotia. It is on the Bay of Fundy, which has the world's highest tides. So I would say you need to come to Digby to try the scallops and the seafood, but to experience the highest tides in the world is something to be seen.
Thank you very much for joining me, speaking to me on NewsX World.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.